tea time.
There you go, Adam. Finish that tea.
Go one down.
One down. Here comes number 2. We ain't even started yet. Here you are. Getting fucking drunk.
I'm not going to leave you alone on this one, Jake.
Oh, thanks. I almost fell asleep last night.
I know. It's a good thing you stand now.
Yeah, I know. I'm really glad I do that. I start to fall off, kind of like the intro music is doing right now.
And welcome back to another episode of Stories from the Shed. My name is Adam. And again with me this week is a man that the honeys play close like butter plays toast. Jake, how you doing?
I've heard that one before.
Yeah, you heard that in the car the other day.
Yeah, right. Well, we were talking about it.
Well, now we're using it.
Use that one.
Here it is, Jake.
Here
we
it is.
used it.
Yay.
I pulled it out on you.
Oh, thanks.
What's up, dude?
You can put it back away now.
All right, it's
All
back
right.
in.
Yeah, okay, good. Oh, living the life. Back here again.
Yeah, this is episode number 2 this week that we're recording.
I know. We're going to have another one right after this.
That's pretty
It's
cool.
going to be a busy-ass week.
Yeah.
I'm cool with it, though. The more episodes, the better, the way
That's
I look
right.
at it.
A lot of fun in the shed, especially now that the weather's warming up. So.
Oh, I know. And we still close the door, but it's because the stupid neighbor's mowing his lawn.
Yeah.
Or his dirt, however you want to look at it.
Fair warning on this one, you might hear, because it's daytime, we normally record at night, you might hear some dogs, you might hear some lawnmower, and you might even hear my kids in the background.
You might even hear Adam sobering up if you listen close enough.
Not a good chance of that one. But you might hear Yergin. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for coming out this Saturday.
Yeah,
Taking
thank
time
you.
to do an episode with us.
Yeah, glad to be back.
Cool. We've got a pretty interesting story today.
Before you get into it, what are you drinking? That's not a second tea.
Oh, no. I am drinking a Baxter's Stowaway IPA.
I believe we've had these once or twice, maybe not on the show, but I know for damn sure I've had a few of these before.
Yep. I love them. 5 Scully fingers for sure.
Yep, even though they didn't email us back.
Come on.
Come on, Baxter.
Mm.
Where's my sound effects? Boo.
But you know what? We'll give your beer 5 Scully fingers.
Yeah.
I'll speak for Jake on that one. I
Yeah.
guarantee you're giving it a 5.
Yeah, we still love you, though.
This is a go-to brew. If you haven't tried it, do so.
And
This
they
is
sell
good.
it in 6-packs.
What are you giving it?
I'll give it 4. I'm like weird about IPAs, but this one's a pretty good one.
Yeah, IPAs, not everybody... You love them or hate them usually.
Mm-hmm.
But this is definitely a good IPA for somebody that's just getting into that kind of a
agreed.
brew.
This is one of my first IPAs that I drank, and it's definitely one of my favorites.
So like we had mentioned, we're doing a second episode this week. This is kind of interesting.
Do you guys remember our Kim Moreau episode we did? I believe it was episode 3.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So remember back when we were talking about Kim Moreau? Maybe you don't, but just to speed everyone up a little bit, Kim Moreau was a girl who went missing back in the early 80s or mid 80s?
1986.
86,
Yep.
okay. So she went missing from J, Maine. No one really knows what happened to her. And back in, I want to say 2015, there was a YouTube channel called 00B4A56 that released some really interesting video of a house from J, Maine, and people kind of speculated that it might have something to do with Kim, because in some of the videos, there was a description that mentioned Kim by name.
Yeah.
So people were kind of flipped out about this. They were wondering, is this something that could be related? Is this from the killer himself, possibly? Or is this just someone trying to play some games on a small town that has, God knows, how few people?
Yeah, this is
Right.
very interesting. And I think there's more than one video. There was like 12 videos.
Oh, my God, there was a ton.
Yeah. And I know, Yergin, you're here. You were able to view these.
Yeah,
and,
they're pretty weird.
They're very weird, and a lot of them are kind of choppy and
Yeah.
kind of look like crap, and it's hard to really tell. And there's one specifically I remember that you can kind of make out what the dude is trying to say, and then it goes inaudible for a solid 4 or 5 seconds, and then he comes back and he goes, "Are you serious?" So it makes you wonder what this person is trying to convey in these videos. But anyway, we got an email, I don't know, maybe a month-ish or so ago. I could look it up, but
Something like that.
It's not really important. From someone who calls themselves Crappy Detective on Reddit,
yes.
I think it was. Him and a bunch of other people supposedly have been researching these videos for multiple years now and kind of formulated some theories as to what they could be, what they may not be. What is this person trying to convey? All these questions you would have watching them.
And Crappy Detective seems to be anything but crappy because he's looked up so much information on this and that others have even commented on the research that he's done.
Absolutely. It seems like him and a handful of other people are putting together all kinds of info on not only these videos, but other weird videos that have come up across the internet.
You can almost consider him the authority on the videos in some way because there's so much stuff on Reddit that he's been in communications with different people trying to piece this together.
Right.
To see what it means.
He was even awesome enough. See, I'm stuttering now. He was even awesome enough to put us together a website with not only the original videos that he had saved, but re-uploads that were of higher quality. So over the course of the time that we've been communicating, he's been getting us better quality videos. And we decided that he would be a good guest, and we did a Skype interview with him.
Yes.
Or we're going to be doing.
Yes.
We're recording this beforehand.
So we're going to be interviewing, and we're going to be calling him CD.
CD,
just
correct.
to keep it short and simple.
Yeah, and no one wants to be called crappy. That's kind of a crappy thing to do.
Yeah, because this guy seems pretty interesting, and I think we're going to have a pretty good interview here. And Yergin, I know you're ready for this.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what he's got to say about them.
Yeah, you come ready with questions?
I'm going to do it on the fly, but yeah.
I think I was the only one here that actually did do some questioning and some making notes, but that's okay because a lot of the videos are kind of self-explanatory, and really most of this is just going to be speculation.
Yeah.
Is this something we're going to be able to share somehow, the videos?
I don't know. We'll have to talk to CD about that.
Yeah, because it would be great if we could, because that way, even if we could put a link to it somehow for people to actually view them and maybe tell us what they think these videos might mean.
That would be cool.
But we'll have to get the okay on that first.
Yep.
But if not, I know that there are, I think, at least 2 YouTube videos out there that do make YouTube channels rather that do make mention of the videos, and I think one of them even gives CD some kudos on it.
Yep, I think you're right.
Yep.
So yeah, we're gonna cut this here. We're gonna drop in this interview. If you guys like this interview, be nice to the guy.
Yes,
please be nice. He's been really, really good to us. He has ungodly amounts of information, at least to me anyway.
Please enjoy and share.
Absolutely.
Well, hi, CD. Thank you for coming in with us for this interview.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me.
You know, we've been looking forward to doing this now for a few weeks.
Yes, sir.
It's, we started doing this podcast in November, and the Kim Moreau story is one that's been on my mind ever since I was a young kid. I'm 33 now, and every time we would drive through the J area with my family, to go hiking or such, we would see the flyers that her father had put up on the poles. And, my parents would talk about the story. And even now as an adult, Jake and I will do a lot of hiking, and that's to get to the mountains in Maine, you got to go through that area.
Right.
And every time we were passing through that area, it's like we were almost silent.
Yeah, basically.
Just thinking about her.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to miss him too, because it's an 80-year-old man, and he's running around with bright pink duct tape and putting signs up, and he's still trying really hard. It's kind of interesting that her name comes up in the videos, and I guess my first question for you is, what made you really interested in the videos to begin with? Was it because of the Kim Moreau case? Did you spend time researching that, or did it come up in some other case that you were looking into?
Oh, good question. It actually started the other way. I didn't know anything about Kim Moreau.
Oh, wow.
But I just found the YouTube channel. I don't remember how. Maybe somebody mentioned it on Reddit or something. Mm-hmm. But I just became fascinated with the YouTube channel just because it was very odd content, and also because it has a lot of coded messages, and they're the kinds of codes that I would make and that I'm pretty good at solving. They're really pretty easy codes. And so I thought, oh, well, people in the YouTube comments were starting to decode the messages. So I thought, well, maybe I'll at least help with the decoding. And then when somebody pointed out, hey, that date, there was a video with a date stamp, and it was a 1986 date. And somebody pointed out, hey, that's significant because that's the date that Kimberly Moreau went missing. And, and then some of the coded messages seemed to tie in with that story. And for a while there, I kind of had the idea that maybe whoever made the videos might have some knowledge or involvement in the case. And so that's what got me really fascinated with the videos. So oddly enough, even though the most important thing obviously is the case involving a real person, right, and a real family, but the videos were the thing that drew my attention first.
Oh, okay. I'm just curious, were you ever at one point from the J Main area? Did that play a role for you at all? No?
No, no, I have never been there. The closest that I ever came to there was, probably hundreds of miles away. So,
Oh,
um,
okay.
yeah, just I never knew anything about the area or, like I said, about the case. It was just once I uh, started studying these videos, then I started to learn about it. And by now, of course, I listened to your podcast on the case, and also had, of course, read whatever I could find. And so now I kind of know the story.
Right.
But no, I was just mostly interested in the videos first, and then of course I would have lost interest in the videos very quickly if there weren't that human element and the tie-in to,
Right.
Something important.
Right. Because when you look at all the videos, to me at least, it seems like it's just someone who's kind of trying to play a game, and maybe someone who's playing with an app on their phone. Adam and I were watching one of the videos last night after we had recorded an episode, and there's one, I think it was one of the videos with the dog.
I think it was the first video.
It looks very much like it was taken with there's one of them that looks like it was taken with a VHS camcorder, and there's another one that's very clear. It's like someone's iPhone 6 with a flashlight, because it's very, very, very clear. You can make out even like the smallest details on the dog.
Yeah, that was the first episode.
Was that the first
Yep.
one?
Yeah, where they are leaving the tent and the dog's walking out to a pile of what looks like deer remains.
Right.
That's right. That's the first, what I call video one. It's the first one that was posted.
Okay. And by the way, I have to say that dog is adorable. I'm a really big dog fan.
I know. Well, as we talk about some of the investigating that I did, there was one point where I found someone's Facebook page who I thought might have had a connection to the videos, and I kept thinking, if I see that dog, that's going to be my smoking gun, but I didn't.
Oh.
What do you think the meaning of the first video is?
Okay, well, I think that the videos as a set were designed to tell a story. And I don't know if it was to tell a story about the person who's making the video, or to tell a story about someone else, or to tell a fictional story. I don't really know, but definitely a narrative. And the first video appeared right after the Kimberly Moreau case heated up a little bit, because in 2015, all of a sudden law enforcement started doing some digging in the J-Main area. Specifically, I guess they had a new lead and they were pursuing it. So I figured that whoever made the video was probably doing so in response. And I think the way that I took it, and it's just, an interpretation, but taking everything together, I think the first video is kind of just kind of loosely telling the story. It was obviously shot with a modern camera, but it was, okay, there's a dog might find something. And so it shows a dog finding something that they tried to make look gruesome. Obviously the video is just a story.
Right.
There was nothing real, and that obviously wasn't a police cadaver dog or anything like that. But it was just, I think that was the idea of the first video. You'll notice also that the titles of the videos taken as a series form a sentence. One of them is something like
I did not notice
I did not notice that
No,
either.
me
Wow. Okay, Adam, pull that up. We have that link still. By the way, thank you very much for setting up that website. That was extremely helpful. And I found that after you had updated some of the other videos with better quality ones, I was able to actually refine some of my questions and some of my notes that I had made for this. So thank you very much.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, I got it up here. It's the first 5 videos make the sentence with their titles. There will be some changes. If you decode the names, like the first video is called 54_68 and so on, and those are actually hexadecimal codes for letters of the alphabet.
I was just going to ask you, because I'm a little bit of a computer guy myself, and I was curious what language that, or what I guess language that is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, 54, if you convert it to decimal, that ends up being, let's see, what is it? It'd be 84, right? Because you got 5 times 16 plus 4. So yeah, 84. If you look that up in an ASCII table, anyway, it's a letter T. And
Okay.
And it just continues like that. So the 54 is a T, the 68 is an H. After a while, you get used to it, because 40 hex is all the capital letters start with 41 hex and up. So like 41 is an A, 42 is a B, 43 is a C. So the letters near the beginning of the alphabet are really easy. And then the lowercase letters, it's the same thing except for they start with 61 hex is a lowercase a.
Oh, okay. And then they just go up in succession from there, I'm assuming.
Yeah, yeah. Now you'll see
Okay.
when I saved it on my phone, it has a little underscore 240p at the end, and that's nothing. That's just my phone added that as a
Yeah.
sort of, that wasn't the original title. That's just the resolution of the video that I saved.
Right. That's kind of what I assumed.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, if you look at the codes, it ends up spelling there will be some changes, the first 5 videos. So you can tell they were intended to be a set even when only the first one had been uploaded.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
very
Yeah,
interesting.
now I'm looking at this now, and yeah, I didn't even realize that. That's pretty cool.
Uh-huh.
Now, the second video
So
is much different than the first one.
yeah, so I think the first video, the idea is that okay, dog maybe finding something gruesome, whatever. I think that's just maybe to tie in with the story, because there's so many other Moreau case tie-ins that maybe it was posted right after the announcement that law enforcement was going to do some digging in the area.
Right. So video number 2, I didn't
Yeah.
see much other than the staircase, and I don't know, was the video with the shot up towards the attic, I think?
Yeah,
right?
it kind of looks
That's
like
right.
there's a grate.
Yeah, and there's a grate in that one, and then they take a shot of a light switch, and then up in the attic, if I'm remembering this video correctly.
That's
And
right.
the way I interpreted that was maybe they're trying to tell a story of maybe something happened in this room, or in maybe up in whatever crawl space or attic that might have been, or maybe it would be like a hideout, or maybe someone is still up there and they're assumed dead or missing. Either way, I think it's trying to paint a very interesting story.
Oh yes, well, I took that one as being it looks like a hiding place, and I don't know if it was to hide uh, uh, somebody who's maybe committing a crime or running from the law, or if it was going to be to hide a victim, either alive or otherwise.
Right.
I don't really know, but just taken as a whole, again, taking all the videos together, that you see other scenes from that house, and you see, I think, at least one other shot of that hiding place. So I think it just ties in with a story that I don't know. Somehow the storyteller wants to say that there's a hiding place. I don't
Right.
know other than that.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Adam. When we did the Kim Moreau case, I know we had touched on it later on after some things had come up. They were going to do a search for, or they were going to dig up someone's trailer plot or slab, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, I wonder if that was near this, or that was that actual address at that. I'm just curious if they're related.
Well, when that first came out in the news, and you're talking recently, like this year or
Was that
late
this
last
year?
year,
Yeah.
they didn't actually announce where that was, and I don't know if they have
Oh.
since.
Okay, I
It's
did
kind
not
of
know
interesting. Yeah.
that. Okay.
I don't remember ever knowing where it was exactly, other than it was in the area and there was, some reason to suspect that that might be a good place to look.
Mm-hmm.
Another
And
thing that's
wait,
interesting
you're going to
about
bleep the address, right?
I'm sorry?
You're going to bleep the address, right?
I can, yes.
yes.
I mean, I just think it would be a good idea. It's not. I have nothing to protect at that address, but I was just thinking that we don't necessarily know. All we know is that that house is a movie star, but we don't really know.
Right.
We don't want people maybe getting unwanted attention that they don't deserve.
Yeah,
Right.
We
this
don't
is
know
Right.
what happened. Yeah.
Right.
private residence several years after the fact. So yeah, we'll definitely get that out of there.
Have more information on that, and maybe I'll let you direct the conversation. But when we get to talking about that address, I did learn about who lives there and so on, or who owns it, I should say, not who lives there necessarily.
Right. I think we had exchanged emails where you had given us a name, and we don't have to name the person, but
No,
definitely.
But the house last changed hands in 2010, so it's had the same owner since the videos were made.
Oh, okay. I wonder if it's the owner of the house or someone that has access to the house then.
Well, let's put it this
interesting.
way: the owner of the house was born and raised in Jay, Maine, and went to the other high school. The one they're consolidated now, but it was
Livermore Falls. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And is about the same age as Kimberly.
Really?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Now,
That and that doesn't mean that that's the person who even made the videos, but somebody had access to his house and made videos,
Right.
In and around his house.
Right, absolutely. By the way, his house looks like a pit. I don't understand how someone can live like that.
That's a lot of places up there, though. Everything, it's an old mill town. I mean, unless you like keep your stuff up, everything's kind of like that.
Kind of
there.
run down.
Yeah, I mean, you can buy a house
tired
there
looking.
for like 30 grand.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to go buy a house.
Now,
I
what
think
was
it's
interesting?
probably somebody living alone, maybe single guy living alone.
Yeah, that could be it too.
In video 2, at around 7 seconds, they show to me what looks like maybe a picture of somebody, and then, I mean, it clearly looks like VHS recording. It starts to get scrambled. What's behind that? Is that a picture of somebody, or?
To me, it looks like it could be a person. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean,
I
when
think
you
it
bring
looks
it
like a deer.
to 7 seconds, it does look like maybe a deer's, like a doe, maybe.
Let me get this straight. Okay, so this is 5769.
Yep.
5769, re-upload. We'll get the go. Okay, there's a grading and the scrambly looking stuff.
Where did you say you saw it clear, Adam?
I see. Yeah, you see kind of a forehead or something. I had never noticed that part.
Yeah.
I got carried away by the laundry basket. Shows you how my mind works. Look, more interested in a laundry basket than what might be a face.
It's a 2011 Sterlite something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But what's interesting is you almost wonder if this was a portrait of Kim that was scrambled, because it almost looks like the ones that were hung on the telephone poles.
Oh my goodness, I didn't even think of that. Let me look again here. All right, there's the grading, the scrambly look.
It really does. Now that
You
we're
see
looking
it
at it.
at the upper part.
Okay. Well, interestingly enough, depending on how much detail we get into, in my search for all things 00B4A56, I actually found a Google Plus page, which I think is gone now.
Google
but
Plus.
It had a still, yeah, I know. Well, dude, Google Plus. But anyway, it was a Google Plus page called 00B4A56 that was available at the same time. There was no direct tie-in between the two other than the statistically improbable name, but
Right.
there was a photo there, and it had been manipulated, so it had like weird color bands in it and stuff like that. But if you separated out a couple of the alpha channels, you could see a clear picture of a face, and the name of the photo, the file name, was that same characteristic hex code, a bunch of digits. But if you decode it, it was Bernice Cordemanch, which is another girl who went missing around the same time. I think it was 1984.
Wow, from the same area?
Yeah, it was New Hampshire.
Oh, okay, so New England-ish.
Within 100 miles or so,
Oh,
probably.
absolutely,
Yeah.
within 100
Yeah.
miles.
Yeah,
Wow.
and her remains were found in 1986.
Wow, that's wild.
I know.
Now I almost wonder if those videos have more to do with her than Kim. But there was a video that mentioned her by name.
Yes.
Kim's not here. I forget which video it was exactly.
Kimberly is not here. Yeah. Oh yeah, and he talks about the creator of the video in some of those messages will say things like, "I want to clear my conscience," but he meant conscience. Yeah, and there was Kimberly is not here. There's I need to hide. They will find me. Things like that. It's all very bizarre.
Absolutely. Are we on? We should move on to 3. I'm thinking.
Probably video 3. Now, what's your take on that one?
Video 3. Let's see. Okay, video 3.
That is the one with.
Okay, yeah. Video 3 also, it looks like this darkened room with a bed. I don't know if you could make that out. It looked like it
almost looked like a small twin or something similar with like a kind of a rudimentary frame.
Like a little room with nothing more than a bed, really.
Yeah, basically.
And it didn't look like a bedroom. I mean, it looked like a little, I don't know, little hiding place, like a little hidden.
To me, it looked like just a room with a bed and nothing else in it. And what would you use that for other than to sleep or to do something nefarious in? That's
Like,
the
or
kind
to
of
hide
vibe
somebody.
I got from it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I was thinking. It'd be a place to hide yourself or somebody else.
Right. And I mean, if you're gonna hide, you might as well have a place to sleep, right?
Yes, definitely.
Correct.
Yeah, and there's the light switch. I don't know the significance of the switch, other than I don't know.
Maybe it's just to show you his poor tape job when he went to paint the walls. Got all over the light switch.
It also looks like at the end of the video you see a panel. I'm wondering if, again, I'm inferring a story here, but what if that panel that you see at the end is what it looks like when the room is concealed? That all you see is this wall panel with no doorknob.
That would be kind of funky.
Right.
I don't know how I'd feel about that.
Yeah.
Can you pull up that video for me one more time, just so I can kind of see that?
It totally looks like that.
Does it?
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
And he says that, and it's like, okay, yeah, I can see that.
Looks like there's some teddy bears over there.
Like in a corner, light
Yeah,
switch.
the light switch with bad tape on it or with bad paint on it. Oh, thanks.
My bad internet loading.
Yeah. We need a T1 connection out here. Do you guys have Google Fiber out where you are?
Not that I'm aware.
I would love to have fiber up here in Maine. Be great.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're gonna get very far. Maybe we can skip to that one part. Well, I can see it through the little preview thing. It does look like a door with no knob on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's and like you wouldn't even necessarily see it as a door unless you were really paying attention.
Right.
Yeah, it just
Like
looks
it's
like
just
bad
kind
wood
of-
paneling.
Panel.
Yeah. Or even painted wood paneling.
Yeah,
Seen
yeah.
that a lot too.
So again, I think the storyteller is trying to say, like, I can, I have this space back here that nobody will even know about. And so I don't know if
Right.
that's to keep himself, to keep a prisoner, to keep things. I don't know. But anyway, it's, I guess the bed would be used for something. So probably a person and probably a live person.
Right.
That's how I would take that too.
Yeah.
Video 4 kind of intrigued me a lot because it's not that it's super difficult, but I had taken that little text, I can't even pronounce it, but Google Translate translated it from Basque, Basque, to English, and the rough translation is, since then, I have been May 10th, 1986, which I took to mean I've been here, or it's been since May 10, 1986, something like that. So I wonder.
Someone translated it as "I've had her since 1986," but I don't know if some of that was their own interpretation. I don't know if it literally says that.
Right, and I did take the literal translation from Google Translate, so who knows how accurate that is. But when I had read that, I almost wonder if someone had been in that particular house since 1986, or that particular room, or whatever it was.
Well, whatever it is, the same video maker about 8 videos later says Kimberly is not here. So maybe something changed in the few months between the videos.
Now, what makes me wonder is if they're saying I've been here since May 10th, 1986, or she's been here since May 10th, 1986, however you want to read that.
Yeah.
Is it possible that she was alive and then they moved her, or maybe her body was there and then they moved her, or
That's how I'm reading that, definitely.
Yeah.
I think that's what the video is intended to convey. Yeah.
Okay.
And at the very end of this video, it shows what looks like what would you call that, a crawl space from an attic? Like where you would pull out a stairwell to climb up into maybe an area where that bed could have been. Yeah.
Another thing that I noticed about that video was in the first few words, it sounds to me like this person is saying, I gave you everything, and then it goes inaudible for, I don't know, 2 or 3 seconds, and then it comes back with a very clear, are you serious? I almost wonder if they're arguing with themselves internally, or they're replaying an event in their head that made them do something that they shouldn't have, obviously. I'm curious where that comes in. Do you have any thoughts on that?
That one, unfortunately, I don't have anything beyond what you've suggested. Just that maybe it was, maybe part of the story is like a little bit of a backstory. Like, how did we end up where it was important to have this hiding place?
Right.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if something bad happened to this person that's making these videos around that time, and they're having a hard time coping with it, or had a hard time coping with it at the time.
Well, I can definitely tell you that if it's the person who owns the house, somebody on his Facebook page mentioned that, sort of addressing a group, said, hey, take it easy on this guy. He's had a really rough time of things. It was somebody who had known him a long time.
Wow, that's interesting.
Okay, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else on 4, Adam?
No, that's pretty much all I got from that as well.
Okay. Number 5. What was number 5? Do you want to
Number
refresh my
5
memory a little
one
bit?
that got me. Number 5 is the most interesting one to me because that's the one that I believe was shot with a vintage camcorder.
Now these are all in the succession, like we had talked about, where there's the first 5 or 6 videos that make the full sentence.
Yes.
Okay, so this is probably towards the end of it, I would have to assume.
Well, I mean, there was 13 videos in all on that YouTube channel before they were taken down. This is number 5 in order of posting, and it's the one with the word changes as the title. So there will be some changes.
Okay.
Following the titles, but this one, unlike the others look like they were shot with modern cameras. This one, what to me was clearly shot with a camcorder.
Now, what makes you say that compared to?
Yeah, well, one thing is you can see there's some zooming that gets done, and you can tell it's a mechanical zoom. It's like these old. You can even hear it in the sound because the microphone is on the camera. And like if you ever used a VHS camcorder, there's a button you push to zoom in and zoom out, and a little servo motor kicks in, and it goes, and you see like the lens actually physically moves and everything to zoom in and out, and clearly that's happening. And there's also the old-fashioned on-screen timestamp. And yeah, those could be faked, but I mean, taken together, you've got, I mean, how hard is it? You could make a vintage VHS video right now. Just pick up an ancient camcorder, put a tape in there. You could set the date to any date you want and just start shooting. And the only thing you can't do is make your surroundings 1986 surroundings. You know,
right?
It's always going to be this year wherever you're filming, but other than that, you could make a vintage VHS looking film or video, and I think that's what we have going on here.
Okay.
What's kind of interesting is as we watch these videos, we were looking for modern things, and we watched them several times, and it's like maybe is there a cell phone on the floor that we could find, or even like a pair of shoes that they didn't sell, back then that they would have had maybe in 2015 or in and around that time frame. And I couldn't find really anything that
really stuck out to me.
No.
One thing I did notice, he titled the video "Changes." Well, his house looks a little bit cleaner, so I guess there's a change there.
Right.
Well, good for him.
Right.
There are some anachronisms, if you want me to get into that.
Yeah, absolutely. Please do.
Okay. And I can't take credit for all these because I posted this on Reddit, and there were some very helpful people, and they're pretty good. They're better detectives than me, and that's why I chose the name I did.
I was just thinking, hence the name, right?
Exactly. Okay, one of them is only circumstantial evidence, but somebody pointed out, okay, in I forget which video it is, but I think it might have been one of the ones that we already looked at, maybe one or two. You see a view down the staircase in the same house, and you see the same darn laundry basket sitting at the bottom of the stairs. And so the guy's going, okay, what are the odds that 30 years later the same laundry basket is in roughly the same place? Yes, it's possible, but
absolutely.
Okay, another one is that let's see, what the car. You can see a car in video number 5. You see the nose.
Yeah, we do see the nose there. This one, Adam and I had we kind of not fought about it, but we had a disagreement about it because I remember you had mentioned it looks like the front end of like a newer BMW 3 Series ish, or maybe even a newer 5 Series. I personally see something more like an early, very, I don't know, maybe as late as 2006 Mercedes C-Class, like a C300 or a C250 or something like that, because to me, it looks like it's got some rounded headlights, but it's still slightly square in the front. It's really hard to tell in the video because it's shot from so far away.
Oh, well, I agree. I mean, I don't feel like I know what model car it is, but I can definitely tell you could look at, if you just go to Google and say 2015 cars, you'll see a lot of cars that are possible candidates that have similar styling. If you type in 1986 cars, you will see nothing like that. I defy anybody to find a 1986 vehicle, that would be a good match for that shape.
Everything 86 resembled either an old Volvo or a square Buick anyway. They were all it was all square body styles
Foxy
back then.
style,
right?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why I'm thinking the car is kind of a giveaway. And the funny thing is, if you watch the way the video is made when the car first comes in frame, you almost see the video maker twitch like, oh, I didn't want to show the car.
And snap to the left. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what there might have been some other reason that the camera lurches to the left, but I took it as almost like, oh, darn it, the car might be a giveaway.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
now that I'm looking at it, it's like he zooms in just beyond the car, like between the house and what it looked like a barn or
Like
a
a
two-car
barn or a
garage.
garage or something. Yeah.
Right. And
Yep.
an astute Redditor pointed out that in the closed caption data of the YouTube video, right at that moment, it says they're next.
Well, I hope they know.
Yeah.
Someone get them ADT or a gun, maybe. Something.
Yeah, I
Jeez.
don't know. No, but actually, I'm holding out. Another anachronism was the laundry basket. That, like I said in the email, those mostly, like cars, had more of a boxy style until about the 90s. You finally started seeing some rounded corners on laundry baskets. But the biggest one of all is that now that we've figured out which house it is, and again, I can't take credit for that, but a smart person on Reddit who is local to the area, and the case was near and dear to his heart also. He emailed me and said, "Hey, I found the house." Apparently, if you lived in the area, there's a certain lay of the land, a certain way that it slopes, and a way that there's, I don't know, uh, just things about the geography that he recognized, and he went, "Hey, there's not much of J Main that looks like this." Frankly, in my case, it didn't even occur to me to look in J Main. I thought, anybody could have made this video from anywhere in the world and told this story. And
Right.
what are the odds that that house is anywhere near where any of this stuff happened? It never even would have occurred to me to look in J Main. But anyway, he found the house. You can get on Google Maps, and it's clearly it's yes, that's the house, that's the street, that's everything. You can tell where the video was made. And according to Zillow, that house was built in 1992. So there you go. There's a pretty good giveaway that
Yeah, that this was
probably
made
that's
later at
not a
least.
1986 video, even though definitely the technology is right. That's an ancient camcorder that was used.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
That's
but but
interesting.
you have to take it as these videos tell a story. That story may just be intended to creep us out and not have a whole lot more meaning to it. But that's my interest in it, is to figure out, okay, what are they trying to say? Are they trying to say, hey, I know who did this and I want you to find it, but I don't want to give myself away? Is it the storyteller saying that he himself did something or something else entirely? I don't really know. But it's a mystery within a mystery, and we have some pretty good clues now. I mean, I'd love to know some of the other locations and stuff like that. Like there's a library or a school in one of the videos. I'm wondering if that's in the area as well. That might be a clue, because it might be somebody who had nighttime access to that library or school.
Right. Those
Yeah.
videos are some of the more fascinating ones to me because it almost leads me to believe that it might be someone that works at the school
Right,
specifically
right.
because who else would have access to a school outside of school hours unless they worked there or they broke in. And if someone had broken in, wouldn't someone have responded and they wouldn't have had time to make the video?
Don't know. I
Yeah,
mean,
because
that's actually, as long as we're talking about my interpretation of the videos, the video that there's a couple of videos in a row, and one of them shows it's like a first person view of somebody, like holding a camera phone or something and running maniacally through the library. So you see
Mhm.
this, the chairs and the shelves and the books and everything flying by as they run around like a madman. And then you see a view that looks like a security camera view of the same library, with just no activity.
Right.
And I took that as a sort of if I'm going to read a story into it, that maybe somebody is saying, oh, and I should also tell you, there was, I think there was a coded message in the YouTube video description, and it said something like timestamps are a cover up or something like that.
Hmm.
And so I took all that together as being the story is, look at this video that's a security camera footage of the place, and it looks like there's nothing happening. But in reality, I was running around with my phone camera like a madman and didn't get picked up by anything, because I'm so clever and was able to, fake the timestamps on these videos or whatever.
Hmm.
I may be reading too much into that one.
What I
Okay.
thought was interesting about the library video is as this person's running around, I noticed you don't find anything modern like computers.
Right. Like you would assume in a modern school that there would be at least a section where students could look things up on the computer or something like that. But like you said, there's no computers anywhere. There's old style desks and painted chairs, and they're all wood, and it doesn't seem like a modern school.
And then it cuts to that security surveillance, which is clearly a modern image.
It definitely looks like a more modern security camera to me,
Yeah.
at least.
So if the house is where I think it is, like I'm not familiar with the street, but I do know the area pretty well. I believe it's around like the older like Livermore schools.
Really?
Yeah.
Could take a ride out there. That's
Yeah,
not
and
even that far.
those are much older buildings.
Well, that would make
Yeah.
sense why
Yeah.
it would be behind.
Exactly. They
Yeah.
just probably don't have a lot of money to modernize.
Right.
Yeah, well, J Main, there's not a lot of people there. There might be 10 people and some farm animals, but that's about it.
Yeah, this is a pretty quiet area.
Yep, I would say.
Yeah, so that's how I would take that. So sorry if I jumped around a little bit, but I was just basically connecting up some of the things with the videos having to do with timing. When things were made. So I think video number 5 was made in 2015, just like the others. Very likely. But it was made, I don't know, to get our attention or to really make us think about 1986. It was made with a VHS camcorder.
I wonder why he picked the time of around 5:50, 5:53 to put on there, because Kim would have went missing in the later hours that evening.
Right.
So I wonder what the significance, if any, between the actual time itself that's displayed on the image.
Well, maybe this person was shooting it before.
I took it as this was supposed to be telling the story of maybe preparing for the crime.
Right.
Like I got my hidey hole all ready,
Yeah. I got the little bed picked out for her.
Exactly,
Went to IKEA.
Yeah, and a little later I'm gonna get started on this gruesome process. That's how I took it.
Yeah. Let's move on to video 6 here. 6 looks to me like there's a body and maybe something severed, like a severed ear or something. It could, I don't know if it was an animal or what is it exactly?
Looks almost like when you have again, to go back to deer, like when you have a deer butchered, it's like piece of meat that's wrapped up in paper, and he wrote heart on it, and then it looks like
it could very well be a heart. You can bring that home,
right?
So.
And it could be a deer heart too.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Well, it looked like the video title, when you decode it, it says "What's Left" is the title of the video. So again, obviously this can only be symbolic. There's no way that stuff was packed up in 1986.
Right.
Right. But maybe it was the idea that somebody's trying to suggest that maybe there was body parts involved or dismemberment involved. I don't really know. I try not to read too much into it.
Right. Now, follow-up question to that. Is this one of the videos that you think was shot later on in 2015, or do you think this is something that was shot back in 86?
I think the only one that looks to me like it was shot with an ancient camcorder is video 5. So
it's just 5. Okay.
Yeah. So I think the rest of the videos actually appear to be recent to me. The 1986 one was actually a difficult, I required non-crappy detectives to figure that one out, that it wasn't necessarily a 1986 effort. But at least that's my take on it, is that the number 6 one is unabashedly 2015, but is maybe trying to suggest to us maybe what happened.
Now, I had a thought, and I don't know if it holds water now, but I had a thought when I was writing up notes for this. Is it possible that those remains could be a body that had been frozen for 30 years? Would a freezer even, I'm curious if a freezer would even hold a body for that long without damaging the organs?
Yeah. There was one that they'd found recently in the area that had been in a freezer in a U-Haul storage for like 30 or more years.
I remember
far
this,
from here,
and no one knew what that was about, and that was like right down the road from my house, maybe a mile and a half down the road. So that's a good point.
So I don't know. That's a good point. Here I was skeptical and saying, okay, in 2015, and it all looks like it's new. So obviously it's only symbolic. These aren't going to be real remains. But maybe I'm a crappy detective.
No, it looks like a gut pile from a deer
Yeah,
or something
for
like
sure.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing that I find is interesting is that in the earlier videos, they kept making almost reference to an attic or a crawl space. But in this one, once you get to about 14 seconds, they almost zoom in at a window that would be leading to a basement.
Right. Foundation window.
Almost like she, again, to be speaking symbolistically, somebody was up here and now they're down there, kind of a thing, maybe.
Maybe
Could
that's
be.
the change.
It might also tie in with the dog video, the idea being that, okay, if there's something hidden somewhere, that the dog may or may not find, makes sense that it would be, I was thinking maybe even under the house or something.
Right.
If the house was built in 92,
That would
That's
make a lot
that
of
would make a
sense.
lot of
possible.
sense.
Right.
Yeah.
It's possible maybe they had something dug out or a basement dug out. And...
I didn't even think about that.
All right. So in my notes, I skipped from 6 to video 10 just because I didn't feel there was all that much relevant in 7, 8, or 9. Did you have anything to add on those ones, just out of curiosity?
Video 8, I would say, is part of the story that I feel like I can understand. The rest, I'll agree with you. They're kind of more artsy than anything else. Yeah. Or we're missing something. But video 8, I do take as part of the narrative. The title is Breaking In Soon. And it shows, I'm trying to remember. Let's see. I think it shows a building or something. I'm taking it as maybe that's even the exterior of the library or something. I'm not really sure, but
that's a good point.
Yeah,
I'm actually we're watching it right now, and it almost looks like they're for half a second. It looked like they were walking through a hallway with like an open window, and you could kind of see through to the other room.
Mm-hmm.
So if that is like an actual library, the J Library is like stone and brick.
Is it?
Yes.
I wonder if it's the J Public Library, not necessarily a school then.
Maybe.
That's a great question. Nobody on Reddit could agree. Some people said, it looks more like a school library. Others said, no, yeah, a public library.
Right. Well, see, Reddit can't agree on anything. If you read anything, it doesn't matter what subreddit you go on, everyone's fighting. It's ridiculous.
Oh, I know.
But we don't read the comments. We just read the headlines and smile and move on.
And another one in this video at around 38 seconds, it almost looks like it goes back to a grate.
Yes, it does. And it looks like the same grate to me.
Yes, me too.
Yeah. And so again, it says breaking in soon. Maybe the suggestion is that that's the weak link. That maybe that's how you get access to the building.
I didn't even think of it that way. That's interesting.
Now I wonder, is that the same grate from the earlier videos?
It looks like it to me.
Yeah, I took it as.
Okay then. All right. That was number 8. We can skip 9. There wasn't really too much on 9. Number 10. What was number 10, Adam?
Oh, number 10 is the one that the title says timestamps are cover-ups.
Oh, right. Okay. Yep. And this is the one that to me, this is the one they're walking through with the dog and the night, or maybe night vision or something's going on there, but it's all green and nasty. And to me, that one looks like it could be recorded on an old camcorder or an old VHS recorder, because it looks, sorry for the bad word, but it looks shitty. It looks like shitty quality, and it just doesn't look good.
And when I was a kid, we had one of those big clunky VHS cameras, and I remember my dad would let us mess around with that, and we would record at night and such, and you'd get that kind of quality image with it.
Right. And what's funny is the dog. It's the same dog. Like Adam just paused it right at the very end. You can tell it's the same dog that was in the first video because of the outline on his face in the, I'm assuming what would be night vision or some sort of something. So I wonder if this guy's just playing. It almost makes me wonder if if the whole thing's just a joke. If he's just playing around with his phone and the camcorder and is trying to make problems, I guess.
Yeah, would be a sick joke, but
yeah, absolutely
possible. Also, if you look at that video, I mean, it's really hard to make out anything, but I'm wondering if it's someplace where we're seeing equipment, like network equipment and cables and stuff like that, like a basement installation. Like maybe that's underneath the library, like where you get to when you go into the grate.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's yeah, that would make sense. How would the dog get down the grate?
Well,
Down.
All right,
He's not a very big dog.
Yeah, right. Come here, I'm gonna throw a treat down the grate.
And if I was going to break into a building and do nefarious things, I don't know if I'd bring my pet with me.
No, the dog's gonna make noise. It doesn't sound like a good idea.
Unless you're somebody that works there, kind of a trustee that brings your dog in.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I work for a bank, and this is a guy that used to bring his dog in all the time. It was just like a normal thing.
Yeah.
Could be. The dog looks comfortable, I'll say that.
Oh,
He
yeah.
definitely does.
Yeah.
It definitely the room that they're in, or whatever enclosure they're in, room, basement, whatever you want to call it, it definitely looks like it's been torn apart. At least to me, it's really hard to make out anything, and what you can make out just looks like piles of something. It just looks destroyed.
Right. That's why I took it as a basement, like a what would you call it? Like an industrial kind of part of a mechanical room or something,
Right, like a furnace room or a boiler room type of thing. Yep.
And there is like an old mill right next to that area.
I wonder.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's a good thought.
All right. Video 11. What do we got here? I think this was the first one with the library, if I remember correctly.
That's right. That's the one with the library, and the title translates to After Hours. Or no, the title doesn't. It's not even coded. It's just the title of the video is just
After Hours.
Hours, yeah.
Oh, okay. This is the one where he's kind of just, or he or she. I assume he, because there was one video. Let me scroll up here in my notes. But there was one video that had said, or he didn't say anything, but you could hear like a heavy breathing, and you know the difference when a male is breathing heavily and a female is breathing heavily. And it sounded to me like a male had just been running or was very nervous and was trying to catch his breath.
Running up the stairs when the police sirens were going off.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You hear that in video number 5. As what I took to be preparation for the crime. You hear sirens and then you hear the heavy breathing, and I assume the sirens wouldn't be a response to this particular crime because it hadn't happened yet. But it could be like it's making the guy very itchy. That there's sirens on. Now, getting ahead a little bit, there's another video on another channel that stars the same house and that sort of recreates it, except for it has a 2015 timestamp on it, and you hear breathing in that one as well. And again, I would agree with you, male breathing.
Yeah. I wonder if that new one with the new timestamp on it is someone just playing a trick, or maybe it's the same person and made a different version of it.
Right. It could have even been that maybe the creator couldn't decide, like, do I shoot this with today's date and just, let it tell the story, or do I set the clock back on the camera, to sort of add to the story, and tell it as a 1986 story.
Yeah, and try to paint it how they wanted it. That could be either way. I know for sure there's apps, because I was looking on the App Store on my phone. I know this is kind of relevant, but kind of not. I was looking through on the App Store this morning, and there's plenty of apps that you can download, like on the Apple Store, or like the Google Android Store, whatever they call it, that would make your videos look VHS quality and might give it some sort of not classic look, but dated, worn out,
for sure,
played 10,000 times like a VHS when it gets worn out type of look.
There's even apps to kind of scramble the footage a little bit to give that kind of, I don't know how you would explain that. That's in some of them.
The weird rainbow effect.
Almost it's like TV static.
Yep.
Oh yeah, well I believe something like that was probably used on many of these videos. But I will say video number 5 just looks like straight up shot with a camcorder.
Yeah,
I
it
agree with that.
does.
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that zoom.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just that.
For me, the giveaway was, that you actually hear the sound of the zoom motor coming in through the microphone while it's zooming.
Yep.
You could, I don't know. That's a pretty sophisticated fake if it is. I mean, the easiest way to get that footage is to get a camcorder.
Right, and it's not hard to find them, at least not here. I know I can go to Goodwill and pick up a VHS camcorder for $10 now with the case and everything.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
All right. I did notice in video 11 that there was some sort of movie playing on a projector, and now just in my notes. I don't know if that was in the library, probably was in the library, but it almost looks like something is playing, or maybe there's people talking. I thought I heard voices, or
towards the end of the video.
Yeah, towards the end. Did you happen to catch anything with that?
Between the shelves.
Let me see what I could do with that one.
Oh yeah, like right between the shelves. What's your timestamp on that?
At
Adam?
about a minute 16.
A minute 16.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. Let's see. Sorry about the poor quality of these. If I'd had more foresight, I would have, grabbed
No,
better.
actually,
No.
we were able to get quite a bit out of these, and to be honest with you, we're already at 50 minutes, so we're doing pretty good.
And honestly, like I should have thought about this. I have like tons of friends from the J. Livermore area that went to the schools and when they were before they consolidated. Like I should have had them like
Look at the videos.
and like rule out what school this is.
Right.
Okay, well, I looked at that just now. I hadn't actually noticed that. I only noticed that it was, running around in a library. I didn't notice that there was, a screen or monitor or something showing there.
And you can hear some words. I can't make them out.
No, neither can I.
Just like a conversation in passing in a hallway but
Right. I wonder if like maybe this person was in the school or the library or whatever after hours and there was still staff hanging around, because I know like my stepmom is a teacher and I've been to school with her after school, like help her set up her classroom and stuff, and teachers will hang out there for a couple hours after school because they have to catch up on homework correcting or setting up the curriculum for the next day and all this stuff. So it wouldn't be uncommon for something to be playing in the library while teachers are working or, something like that.
Sure.
Or even conversation to be going on.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. It does sound like there's a conversation just kind of like on the other side of a wall or something.
Right.
Like there's other people in the building that maybe aren't really aware, that this person is there or aren't paying attention.
Right.
I would say there's definitely I would assume there's no significance behind any of that.
Probably not.
Just by chance.
It was just an interesting note that I had
Well,
seen.
one thing it tells you though is that this may be during the day and it may not be, it may be somebody who has access, like you were saying, rather than somebody who's unauthorized and has snuck in and is hiding out, because they would get spooked maybe by other voices so close by, whereas that doesn't seem to happen here.
Yep, that would make sense. Oh, okay. I think that pretty much sums up 11.
Take us to video 12.
That's one of our last ones, isn't it? Okay.
This one reminded me of the movie The Matrix.
Yeah, I every time Adam played it, I made him turn the sound off because it gave me chills down my spine.
Oh, let's see. That's the one that's titled Delayed.
And this is the one that translates to, hello, it's been a while. I think I'm safe now. I will get back to uploading more now. I had some issues. I'll be coming back later. Kim isn't here.
Yeah. And that's pretty much all it is then, is it's just the coded message.
Right. There's nothing really to add other than that. It's more of like if you're really into programming, kind of a cool little thing.
Which I am.
Yeah.
All right. There's a couple more videos, I think. There was one that was titled Breaking In Soon, and that one was just a picture of not a picture, but a moving shot of a grate, if I remember correctly, right?
Or was it Coming Back?
Yes,
Yeah.
Breaking
Or was it
In
coming
Soon
back?
is video 8.
So number 13 would be Coming Back.
Oh, okay. My bad. Sorry.
Oh, right. Coming Back is number 13. And again, I think it's a message is about it. Hello, it's been a while. I think I'm safe now. I will get back to uploading more now. Oh, no, we just read that.
So what was 13? I'm looking at Breaking In Soon. Breaking In Soon was 8, correct?
8, yes.
Okay, so that was a different one.
Okay, all right. Number 12, though, the message was, I think it's safe to come out now. Had to relocate. I need to be smarter with my videos. They will find me.
Well, yeah, don't take pictures of your house, dummy. What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm thinking this person isn't serious, about hiding. If you take pictures of your house and the exterior of your house.
Right, and then you put it on YouTube for everyone to see. You're clearly not trying to hide anything. It looks like you're just trying to stir up some drama to me.
Yeah. So that, for me, again, this is the mystery within the mystery, is kind of, okay, who's making these videos? And honestly, if this traced to anywhere else, like if we found out that house was in Cleveland, then I would just say, okay, this is just somebody that wants to make creepy videos and, get a bunch of attention or whatever. But the fact that it turns out the house is in Jay, Maine, and that the owner of the house has been there the whole time and is Kimberly's age, I'm going like, okay, maybe there's a little more to it, even if maybe they had nothing to do with any crimes or anything like that.
Right. It almost makes me wonder if the person who owns the house now or owned the house at the time, I'm assuming it's the same person. I wonder if maybe they knew something about it but didn't have anything direct, like didn't have any direct tie to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Maybe they knew
That could
someone
be
who
too.
had something to do with the situation.
Yeah, well, you have to figure. I mean, it's a small community,
Right.
and there are some situations where somebody from outside the community just, swoops in, commits a crime, and swoops out, and nobody has any clue. That can happen, but probably more common, when something like this happens in a small community, is people probably have some ideas. Maybe they can't prove anything, but people know each other.
Right. I mean, it's a really small area. The downtowns of both of them like intersect one another. Like you
Yeah.
don't really know where one ends and one begins.
Hmm. Yeah, so I just have to think this person obviously has an emotional connection to this case, which I mean, a lot of people do. But maybe
Absolutely.
this emotional connection is in a more disturbing way, either in a sick way that they just kind of want to bring attention to it in a kind of a bizarre way, or maybe it's maybe they have some guilt. Maybe not guilt that they actually harmed Kim, but maybe that they knew something and didn't have the nerve to come forward, or you just never know.
Right. Maybe this is their way of coming forward in a very twisted, kind of backwards way.
And is there
Hard to
something
say.
with the timing of the release of these films? They came up shortly after the media updated information in 2015, and they were only up for just a few days.
Is that really?
Yeah, from what I understand.
Were you talking about the 00B486 or B4A56 videos?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, they were up for I think a few months.
Was it a few months?
Yeah, the last one was maybe only up for a few days, but no, we had a decent amount of time there where they were up.
And you
They
were
were
lucky
up for at
enough
least a
to.
few months. But where they came down was, I mean, I don't want to take too much credit, but the Reddit thread definitely got more people interested, and I personally, for a while there, I thought before I had really examined it and really had some of the information I have now, I just thought, okay, even if this leads to nothing, this appears to be somebody who is kind of claiming to have some knowledge about the case, so maybe law enforcement should know. So I did contact a couple of, law enforcement bodies. I can't remember who it was anymore, but it might have been like local police and FBI. No, I didn't. It wasn't a two-way thing. I just sent a note, just saying like you may want to check out this YouTube channel. And so it's possible that maybe the channel went down because of too much of the wrong kind of attention, from the point of view of the creator.
Well, look what you did, CD. You got the channel taken down.
I know. I feel guilty about that because it's I'd rather just still have access to it the way it was. There were some really good comments, and you know, like the stuff in the closed caption data in the video may be lost now and things like that.
Right. And that could prove to be really integral into what this person was trying to convey. Because if we're missing those small details, who knows if he incorporated something in the closed caption data on all of these videos.
Or even in the comments, you
Right.
create a fake user and post comments on your own video that maybe lead in a particular direction. Because there were a lot of comments, people starting to decode the messages and to speculate where are the locations, what might be going on here, that sort of thing.
Right.
And you can certainly get a sense of paranoia in the messages. So this is getting all this attention to it, you can almost see where the publisher might have the feeling where they need to take these down immediately.
Oh, absolutely. Especially after CD over here gets them in trouble with the local police and FBI.
I feel guilty about that because I really have a feeling, and it's only a feeling, that this is not a criminal in the sense like this is probably not somebody who has hurt anybody directly. It may be somebody who wants to maybe, I don't know. I mean, certainly this isn't nice to the family, to post things like this. So I'm not going to just let them off the hook completely. But I'm going to say this is probably somebody who probably is paranoid, and who probably maybe does have some feelings like guilt, and who definitely has a strong emotional attachment to this case, but maybe doesn't connect well with people.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's only one more video, and it's the weird one that I don't think has anything to do with it, to be honest with you. There's one called Practice, and it just looks like someone who's target shooting, or maybe even was like taking a video of like an old game on a Nintendo, because quite honestly, to me, it looks very 8-bit. It looks very blocky, very, I don't know, it almost looks cartoonish, but it just looks like someone shooting a rifle in their backyard.
Yeah, I don't really know how to tie that into the story. There's another one that had an Arabic title that I also don't know how to tie in. I don't know what the Arabic characters mean. But the video itself, it was just so artsy. It just looked like generic kind of horror content. And I couldn't really tie it in with the story. The Practice one, you might say, okay, if they're hiding out, then maybe they have a rifle in there where they're hiding. I don't know.
Right. Now, with the artistic films, the only thing that I can think with those is that they might be used to complicate the story a little bit more, to kind of help hide his anonymity.
Now, now another thing, talking about tying in with the story, the video you might have seen at the bottom of the webpage I made for you guys, there was 2 videos, and they were sent to me by the gentleman who's local to the area that contacted me via Reddit and found the house and everything. But there are other videos that feature that house, and one of them had the 2015 timestamp on it. And that one, if you listen to the audio, you hear it sounds like it's a TV program or a radio program or something. You just hear dialogue. You also hear in the foreground, you hear the person who's making the video breathing and stuff like that. But in the background, there's this radio or TV or whatever. But if you follow the story, I think it was very intentionally chosen. It sounds like somebody who's got something weighing on his conscience. I mean, he's going like, "This is real, man," or something. I mean, I'm doing a very poor impression, but that may tie in as well. That audio may have been carefully selected.
Right. Well, I don't have any more questions, honestly. I think we covered this really, really well.
Yeah, I think so.
Did you have anything else to add before we cut this call?
No, not really. I mean, thank you guys. I really appreciate all the time and attention. I think this is, like I said, a mystery within a mystery. And if it doesn't help to figure out what happened with Kim, then it doesn't matter very much. The only reason I have any interest in who owns the house or any of that stuff is only to the extent that it ties in with anything, with the real investigation. Who made a video and why, that's interesting, but only so interesting.
Right, exactly. Thank you very much for getting in touch with us. This was our first interview show that I remember, and I really enjoyed this one. This one was really informative, and I think people are going to listen to it just because people like to speculate on things like this, especially weird videos that you can't really pinpoint exactly what the person is trying to convey, but you can sit here and, I wonder if the trail leads this way, or maybe it leads that way.
Yeah, because it definitely does create some red herrings.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure.
And it leaves. Okay. I guess my feeling is it leaves more questions than answers, and it makes you want to continue to research more.
It does. And just by way of a quickie comment, there's a YouTube channel now with the title 00B4A56. I don't know that it's necessarily the same channel, and definitely none of the videos are the same. And that doesn't mean that it isn't worth paying attention to that. There's also an Instagram now. It looks like, kind of equally creepy content, but it doesn't seem to tie in with the Kim case at all that I can tell.
Adam, when were you going to tell me about these channels you created?
I found it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, okay. I was like looking into it. I'm like, what are these?
Yeah, that's kind of weird. I think I just have a couple questions for you,
sure.
Just regarding you and releasing this episode. My plan, like we had discussed before, we recorded a real small intro. I think it was maybe 7 or 8 minutes before this. My plan was to drop this interview directly into that recording. I wasn't going to do a whole lot of editing, just edit out, the address that we had discussed. Would you like me to send you a copy beforehand, before I release it, just to make sure that you're comfortable with what we're releasing?
If you're willing to do that, sure. I would appreciate that. But I don't insist. If it's one of those things where you're up against a deadline or whatever, I would understand. And I would also hope that you would edit out anything that isn't moving the story along. Like, you know what I mean? If I'm blabbing on about something that doesn't connect well, use your judgment.
Right. Well, to be honest with you, and this is just my feeling on it. I do all the editing for the show. Adam is really good as far as doing the research, and between Jessica here and a bunch of our other people that reach out to us all the time, we have no shortage of stories, and we really don't have a time frame at all. It's really when we want to release stuff. I personally like the authentic conversation. I would like to cut as little as possible because I find that kind of like another like other interview shows, just as an example, like the Joe Rogan Experience. There's no real cuts. It's just a nice free flowing conversation, and I find that really grabs people's attention more than just, okay, we're going to talk about this, obvious cut, talk about this for 5 minutes, obvious cut. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so I don't plan on cutting too much out. Maybe just bleeping out that address. And there was one other thing I had to ask.
Would it be beneficial to find a way to, if at all possible, have these videos viewable?
Is that something that we could do, or is that something that you wouldn't recommend?
Question. The videos as I have them, my old backup ones or whatever, the low resolution copies, those would be downloadable from the webpage I gave you guys. And then the ones that it says, that I found a better quality re-upload, those are hosted by a third party, so you could refer to those obviously without doxing me in any way. And the other ones you could download and re-upload, to your own website or whatever.
Right. Okay. We just didn't want to do anything that might put you in a spot, and we wanted to make sure that everything was cool.
Oh yeah, it certainly should be. I wouldn't publish the link to the webpage I created for you guys because that ties right to me. Plus, it has information I think that's worthy of bleeping. I think I may have even put the individual's name who owns the house.
Yeah, I think you had, and we will make sure to bleep that out. Maybe we can put together like a free hosting and just host the videos, or maybe even upload them to our Facebook.
Yep, that would be like that.
Yeah, but awesome. I think that's a good idea. It'd be good if people can see the videos. And again, like you were saying, with as little editing as possible, who knows? Maybe there'll be some detail that some good detective picks up on, and maybe something useful will come of it.
So you keep saying that you're a crappy detective, and maybe that's your username, but I think you're quite the opposite, actually. This has been a really intriguing interview for me, and I've very much enjoyed it. Thank you very much for taking the time to do the research and speaking with us. We really, really do appreciate it.
Oh, well, I appreciate you taking the time, and this is really I started out looking at the videos, but I became interested in the case, and at this point, I feel like I have an interest in it too. That I would really I feel for the family, and anything that, even if all of this does is bring attention to the case and to the family and get people thinking about it. Who knows? Maybe there's somebody that has lived there. That was born and raised there, whatever, that doesn't think they know something important. But maybe, in light of all of this, they'll all of a sudden something will connect, and they'll go like, come to think of it, right around that time, something, changed, or somebody started acting differently or whatever. And you never know. Maybe that'll turn into something useful.
That'd be great.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. We're going to cut this now.
Very good.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, right, we appreciate it.
You guys too. Good meeting you guys.
Good meeting you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Wasn't this fun? Losing our outro. Sorry.
Yeah. Take two.
Yeah, take two. We'll try it again. Don't worry. We'll figure it out.
Just about dinner time. Let's go.
This is what happens when you just do your first Skype call. But it happens. I love how that faded out perfectly.
Well, I hope everybody liked that interview. That was certainly a lot of fun to do, especially being our first one.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. That's for sure. He seemed very nice, very intelligent. All of our conversations with him beforehand were very nice, and I thought it was just a really well done interview. I'm not going to toot my own horn, but maybe I am.
I'd like to have him back on again.
That would be
maybe
interesting.
For a different story. The interview style was definitely a lot of fun. Unfortunately, Yergin had to leave. She left a while ago. This is take two on the outro. But
yep, I lost the first one trying to put it in.
Thank you also, Yergin, for coming out and participating in this and giving us what you had. You always do a great job, and we appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely. It's going to be way shorter than the last one we did. I just want to get this done with. I'm not going to lie to you.
That's right.
All right, let me bring up social media here.
Yeah, while he's bringing that up, we want to thank you guys for listening. And if you like the video, if you like this, let us know what you think about the content of those videos. Maybe there's something in there that you saw that we didn't see. So let us know because we're definitely interested.
Yeah, I'm going to download iMovie, or maybe I'll have you download iMovie and just put them together. We'll put them up on the Facebook page or...
For sure.
Excuse me. Somewhere to put them out.
And if nothing else, it just kind of brings the story back for people to think about and try to solve this case. But for now, you can find us on our social media at Stories from the Shed. That would be our Facebook. Instagram, Stories from the Shed Podcast. YouTube, Stories from the Shed Podcast. Twitter, Stories from Shed.
I tried to log in today and I forgot the password.
And our Gmail, sftspodcast@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. Thank you for telling a friend. And we'll see you next week.